You are watching Eswatini TV, Sibuko Semaswati.
A very good afternoon and a warm welcome. My name is Lerato Mabilisa and this is your favorite teleeducation program. Also joining me in the studio is Nogwazi Dlamini, my co-host, and the sign language interpreter Nompumelelo Hadebe. A very good afternoon, Nogwazi, on this beautiful Friday.
A very good afternoon, Lerato, and a very good afternoon to our viewers at home. It's a Friday, a beautiful Friday. I always say TGIF. Lerato didn't know that. I had to teach her. How are you doing on this Friday?
Thanks for exposing me. But it's cool. It's cool. Please, can you give our viewers today's timetable?
Okay, viewers at home, this is what your Friday of learning looks like today. From now until 2:30 p.m. we have English language for the grades 1 and 2. From 2:30 p.m. until 3 p.m. we have English language for grade 3 and 4. From 3 p.m. until 3:30 p.m. we have mathematics for the grades 5 and 6. From 3:30 p.m. until 4 p.m. we have science for the form 1s and 2s. From 4 p.m. until 4:30 p.m. we have mathematics for the form 4s. And the last subject for the day from 4:30 p.m. until 5 p.m. is chemistry for the form 4s.
Sounds like it's going to be a very interesting and hectic day at the same time. But we've got to learn, don't we?
Yes, we do.
Okay. We also have social media platforms, which are YouTube and Facebook, where we are live from 2 p.m. until 5 p.m. Please do not forget to click the subscribe button so that whenever we are live, you get a notification.
Yes, of course. And please do not forget about our WhatsApp number as well, which you can use to ask any questions that you might have. Now, up next is the grade 1 and 2 lesson, which is English language. Lerato will be taking you through that. Let's take a short infomercial break. We'll be right back after this.
Emaphoyisa neseve lolu hlelo lwakho lolichamuka khona embuthweni wembobe lolifundisa kabanti liphindze licwayise sona phela seve ngato tindzaba tekuvikela bona kucala.
Thokotela uhlelo lwakho emaphoyisa nesive kuso sikhathi lesisha njalo ngabolesine ngensimbi yesihlanu sihambama khona la Eswatini TV.
Welcome back, grade 1s and 2s. This is the first subject for today and we are learning English language, with teacher Nobile Vilagati. My name is Lerato Mabilisa and joining me in the studio is the sign language interpreter Nomcebo Dlamini. A very good afternoon, teacher Nobile.
Good afternoon, Lerato.
How are you today?
I'm very well, thank you.
I'm also great. So today's English language topic is sounds.
Yes.
What would you expect the grade 1s and 2s to have learned by the end of this lesson?
By the end of the lesson, I'm expecting the learners to identify the sound s, e, t, and p. Right? The sound s, e, t, and p. And also make words using the sound s, e, t, and p.
Okay, without wasting any time, please begin your lesson.
Okay, thank you, Lerato. A very good afternoon, my dear grade 2s and 1s. I am teacher Nobile S. Lerato has just said, and I'll be taking you for our English language. Our topic is sound. Okay, dear learners, by the end of the lesson, I want you to identify the sound s, e, t, and p. Write the sound s, e, t, and p. Then you form words using the sound s, e, t, and p. Dear learners, you should have these following materials: a pencil, an eraser, and an exercise book. Dear learner, right where I am, it is a hot day. I can see some clouds, so it means the weather is sunny. Okay, now let us have a recap on what we did in our previous lesson. In our previous lesson, dear learner, remember you were with teacher P. Matebula. We talked about myself. Then we look at the letters of the alphabets, both in small and capital letters. Why was that, my friends? It was because you were learning how to write your names. How do we write our names, by the way? We start using a capital letter. We start with the capital letter, I mean to say, my dear learner. Then we follow with small letters. Now, dear learner, I want us to sing a wonderful song together. I hope you are ready. It goes like this. Letter sounds are so good. They help us to read and write. We get a lot of fun from them as we read and say the sounds. Letter sounds are so good. They help us to read and write. We get a lot of fun from them as we read and say the sounds. E, B, K, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, A, V, W, X, Y, Z. Now, dear learners, I want us to repeat the sounds again. Let us say the sounds again. I hope you noticed that we were not naming the letters, but we were saying the sounds. Let's do it again. E, B, K, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, A, V, W, X, Y, Z. Okay, dear learners, as I have mentioned earlier on, that we are going to say the sounds E, T, and P. So this is what you are going to do in each and every sound. We are going to say it as I have said. Then we are going to write it. And then we are going to action it. And then lastly, we are going to sing it. Now let us look at our first sound. This is sound S. Say S. S is for sun. S is for socks. S is for snake. Now, dear learners, I want us to write the sound S in the air. So you are going to write the sounds. How do you write the sounds? This is how we write the sounds, dear learners. You say over, across, then back. Over, across, then back. That is how we write the sound S, my dear friends. Now, we are going to action the sounds. How do we action the sounds? This is how we action the sounds, dear learners. Here I've got my arm. I am going to move my arm or wave my arm like a snake and say S. Let's do it. S. Again. S. That is how we action the sound S. Now we are going to sing the sounds My friends, remember, we have to action while we are singing. It goes like this. The snake is in the grass. 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 That's how we sing the sound S, dear Lena. Now let us move on to our second sound. Our second sound is sound E. This is sound E. E is for ant. E is for apple. E is for angel. Now, dear learners, how do we write the sound E? This is how we write the sound E. Remember, my friends, we are writing it in the E. Now, this is how we do it. We say semicircle, up, then down. Let's do it again. Semicircle, up and down. That is how we write the sound E, my friends. Now we are going to action the sound E. How do we action the sound E? This is how we are going to action the sound E. Here, I've got these two arms and I have these hands, and with these hands, I've got the fingertips. So I will pretend that my fingertips are the ends. Then I'm going to cross my arms and move my fingertips like this, pretending that they are ends. They are moving up and down and say E. Let's do it. E, 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 E. Good. That is how we action the sound E, dear friends. Now, let's move on. How do we sing the sound E? This is how we sing the sound E, dear Lena. Remember to action. Let's start. E, E, ends on my arm. E, E, ends on my arm. E, E, ends on my arm. They are causing me alarm. E, E, ends on my arm. E, E, ends on my arm. E, E, ends on my arm. They are causing me alarm. E. Yes. Now, let's move on to our third sound. Our third sound is sound T. This is sound T. T is for tin. T is for tap. T is for team. Now, dear Lena, I hope you have noticed that team begins with a capital letter. Why is it so? It is because Tim is a name of a person. Remember, we said whenever you are writing your name, you begin with a capital letter. Now, dear learners, I want us to look at how we can write the sound T. This is how we are going to write the sound T. Remember, you are writing in the E. So this is how we write the sound T. We say down, make a U-turn, then you cross. Let's write again. Down, make a U-turn, then you cross. That is how we write the sound T, dear learners. Now, my friends, I want us to action the sound T. How do we action the sound T? You pretend that you are watching a tennis game. Then you move your head side to side like this and say T, 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 T. That is how we action the sound T, dear learners. Now I want us to sing the sound T. How do we sing the sound T? Now we sing it like this. When I watch the tennis game, T, 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 T. When I watch the tennis game, my head goes side to side when I watch the tennis game. When I watch the tennis game, my head goes side to side. That is how we sing the sound t. Now let's move on to our last sound, dear friends. Our last sound is sound p. Say p. Don't say p. It is p. P. This is sound p. P is for pencil. P is for pot. P is for pig. Yes, dear learners. Now we are going to see how we can write the sound p. Look, dear learners, sound p is a root letter. It has got a tail going down. So make sure that you are always starting in the middle line. Now, dear learners, this is how we write the sound p. We say down, go up, semicircle to your right. Let's do it. Down, go up, semicircle to the right. Yes, dear learners, that is how we write the sound p. How do we action the sound p? This is how we action the sound p. Here I've got this finger. I am going to pretend that this finger is a kangaroo. Now I am blowing out the kangaroo and saying p. Let's do it. P. P. That is how we action the sound p. Now we are going to sing the sound p. How do we sing the sound p? Remember, we are actioning, then we sing. Puff out the candle on the pink pig cake, pink pig cake, pink pig cake. Puff out the candle on the pink pig cake, puff, puff, puff. Puff out the candle on the pink pig cake, pink pig cake, pink pig cake. Puff out the candle on the pink pig cake, puff, puff, puff. Yes, dear learners, let us move on now. We were learning sound s, t, and p. Then now, how are we going to make words using the said sound? Here, I've got the first word as. How did we get to the word as? We took a and put it together with sound s to get the word as. How? Let's find out. This is how you will read a word, dear learner. You start by sounding the sound first. Saying the sound first, dear learners, slowly and then faster. Let's start. S, 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 S. That's it. Now we got the word as. Let's move on to our second word. Our second word is at. It has been made by the sound e and t. We say e plus t. We get the word at. Let's find out if you are correct, dear learner. Remember, slow, fast, faster until the word comes out. Let's start. E, t, e, t, e, t, at. You see? We are correct. Our third word is the word set. It is made by the sound s, e, and t. Let us say the sound s, e, t, s, e, t, s, e, t, s, e, t, set, 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 set. So we get the word set, which means we are correct, dear learners. Set give us the word set. Now let's move on. We've got the word tap. It is made by the sound t and let's find out if you are correct. We are reading, dear learners. Let's say the sound slowly, faster, until the word comes out. T, e, p, t, e, p, t, e, p, tap, tap, tap. We get the word tap. Now our last word is the word pet. How do we get the word pet? It is made from the sound p, e, and t. Now let us say the sounds p, e, t, p, e, t, p, t, p, e, t, p, e, t. Pet, pet, pet. We get the word pet. Now, dear learners, I want us to look at these sentences. I've got 4 sentences. They are our tongue twisters. The first sentence says, said Sam. It says, said Sam sits by Sid's side. Said Sam sits by Sid's side. Here, dear learners, we can hear the sound. Where is the sound? It is found in said, in Sam, in Sid's, in Sid's, and in sides. So let us move on to our second sentence. Our second sentence is like this. An ant acts as an angel. An ant acts as an angel. Here we hear the sound eh, eh, eh. Where is the sound eh, eh, eh? It is in an, it is in ant, it is in at, it is in as, it is in an, it is in angel. So now we know the sound eh. Now, dear learners, let us move on to our third sound. I mean to say our third sentence, dear learner. It reads like this. Tim taps at Todd's toy. Tim taps at Todd's toy. Here we can hear the sound t, t, t. Where is the t, t, t sound? It is found in Tim. It is found in taps. It is found in at. It is found in tots. It is also found in toy. So now we move on to our last sentence. Let's read our last sentence. It says, Peter put Pet's pet in the pot. Peter put Pet's pet in the pot. Here we can hear the p, p, p sound. Where is the p, p sound? It is in Peter. It is in put. It is in pet. It is in pet. It is in pot. Now, dear learner, I hope you notice that we've got 2 pet words. The first one is in a capital letter. It is in a capital letter. Here, this is the first one. It is in a capital letter. And the second one, it is in a small letter. Why is it so? It is because this first pet is a name of a person. Now, dear learner, let us have a recap on what we learned today. In our lesson today, we learned about sound s, e, t, and p. In each and every sound, we were saying it, writing it, actioning it, then singing it. And we also did word formation on word as, at, set, tap, and pet. Now, my dear friends, here is your homework. I want you to choose any object which begins with either sound s or e or t or p. I said it begins with either sound s, e, t or p. For example, here I am going to draw my tree. And then you write the name of the object that you have drawn. Now, dear learner, this is the end of our lesson, and I also hope you enjoyed the lesson as we were singing a lot. Over to you, Lerato.
Thank you very much, Teacher Ngobile. That was a very interesting and informative lesson. We're hoping you're going to come again next time.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, grade 3s and 4s, do not go anywhere. Just go and grab a snack because I will be back with your English language teacher after this infomercial.
Return my son to me. I'm going to go get him.
Ow, it hurts! Hey, I haven't even touched you yet. Stop being a baby. Kandimba! Get back here! Kandimba! Kandimba! Where are you?
What's with that face? You don't feel well? How did your interview go?
Bad. Really bad.
Well, I'd like to have a cup of coffee, please.
Because I want to help you out, I
Your
really
father
can't.
won't let you.
It's just that at this time, the sales of the store don't justify hiring another person, Auntie.
But if that's the issue, I could work on commission, Sarah. I already proved to you I'm a good
Look,
salesperson.
I'm really sorry, but jobs don't just pop up because people need them.
Sinibusele maswati lamahle kanye nabo bonke abazalwane eveni laseSwatini. Igama lami ngingayandazwane Health Promotions Officer walolu hlelo lolushasha lolubitwa ngekuthi yi-Faith and Community Initiative kafishane FCI.
Njengoba sisho sobe sikhuluma ngokusebenzisana nebandla. Bafundisi ngisho njalo namabandla anebantu akhiwa abantu lebafikayo lebangela lamaswati lesikhuluma ngawo. And kuyindlela nje kuba ngiyona leyo platform lenye lekubonakala ukuthi singayisebenzisa kwabonakala even then singayisebenzisa ukuthi sikhone ukuthi sifike kubo bonke abantu.
Ikakhulu lubuke ukuthi bantu basitakale kwekucala enzabeni yokuthi kwanze umsebenzi wokuvikela igciwane le-HIV la kangwane.
But labantu bebati disclose bona bathi sho bona sibanjani baphathekile bathandazelwe labo bantu labo nabativa abangcono bebasithatha hayi ngithiva seniphilile mina asizange ngisho kanye ndakunika nje good example sibatshela sabayekela amaphilisi.
Namhla ke ngide ukuthi ukuthatha indvodza into ukuthatha babe ukuthi asade isimo sakhe sengadi kumcoka ukuthi usade isimo sengadi kuze utokhombisa luthando lonalo emndenini wakho utokhombisa luthando lonalo nasemphakathini.
Welcome back, grade 3s and 4s. This is the second subject for the day, and you are learning English language with teacher Makosonke Dlamini. My name is Lerato Mabilisa, and joining me in the studio is the sign language interpreter Nompumelelo Hadebi. A very good afternoon, teacher Makosonke.
Afternoon, madam. How are you?
I'm alright. So today's topic is adjectives.
Yes. Today we'll be learning about adjectives.
What would you expect the grade 3s and 4s to have learned by the end of this lesson?
Yes, they should be able to define adjectives, and then they should be able to use adjectives. It can be the comparative adjectives and superlative adjectives.
Okay, without wasting any time, please begin your lesson.
Thank you so much, Lerato. Good morning, good afternoon, dear learners. Here with you is Mr. Makosonga Dlamini. Will be taking you in the English language lesson that is for grade 3. Dear learner, I hope you have already prepared all your material that you will need when we carry on with our today's lesson. That could be a notebook, a pencil, and a pen to write some notes. Dylan, I also hope that you still remember that we are still having this pandemic that is COVID-19, whereby we have to make sure that we sanitize our hands and wash our hands with running water and soap as we are at home, so that we cannot actually get this sickness. Dylan, as I have already said, as I have already introduced my objectives, of I have to be able to define adjectives and use them in some sentences. So here I have this example of a family of 3 children, whereby we have Setu, Sipho, Veli, and Set. So we have 3. That is Setu, that is number 1, Sipho, and Veli. So Setu is 9 years old. Setu is 9 years old. Sipho is 6 years old. And then Veli is 3 years old. So dear learner, from the 3 children, who is the eldest? From the 3 children, who is the eldest? Dear learner, if we were to look at their ages, that is 9, 6, 3, we can actually find out that this one, that is Setu, is the eldest because he is 9 years old. So my second question is, who is the youngest among the 3 children? Who is the youngest? Dylan. The youngest child here is Veli. So Veli is the youngest, since he is 3 years old. He is 3 years old. Dylan, what name can we give to these 2 words? That is eldest and youngest. Dear learner, we normally refer those words, that is eldest and youngest, as adjectives. These words are called adjectives. These words are adjectives. So dear learner, what is an adjective? What is an adjective? An adjective is a word that describes a noun or a pronoun. An adjective is a word that describes a noun or a pronoun. Let's move on, dear learner. I hope we learned in the previous grades that about these words, noun and pronoun, as I have also included these 2 words in our definition. So a noun, dear learner, is a word that names a person, that a place and a thing. A person can be Musa, Vusi, or Mandla. A place can be Manzini, Mbabane, or else Zandondo. A thing can be a chair, the one that you are sitting on as you are watching our lesson. So the next one is a pronoun. So a pronoun is a word that takes the place of a noun. So instead of using a noun, you may use a pronoun. It can be she, or he, or it. So now let's move on and look at these two different types of adjectives. We have comparative adjectives, which are adjectives used when comparing. They are used when comparing differences between two things or objects. Then the next type of adjectives is the superlative type of adjectives. A superlative adjective is an adjective that is used to describe an object which is at the upper and lower limit of a equality. So a superlative adjective is an adjective that is used to describe an object which is at the upper and lower limit of a equality. So let's move on, dear learner, and look at these two sentences. From these two sentences, can you identify adjectives? So the first sentence says, an unhappy child. An unhappy child. So let's identify an adjective from this sentence. So our adjective in this sentence is unhappy. So unhappy is our adjective in example 1. Let's move on, dear learner, and look at example 2. Example 2 says she has enough time. She has enough time. Enough has been used to describe the time. So enough is our adjective in example 2. So dear learner, let's now move on and look at this activity so that we can be in a position to see what is it that you are talking about. So here, let's fill in the blank space with a suitable adjective. Dear learner, let's look at the picture. First, before we go to the sentence. So I think you can see that there are 3 people there. The others are busy taking measurements of the other one. And then the other one is even trying to climb on a ladder, a step ladder, so that he can be in a position to take some measurements. So the one at the center, this one, dear learner, is Mr. Gama. This one is Mr. Gama. So if we have to write the suitable adjective for this sentence, describing what we can see here, we can say Mr. Gama is very, let's compare to the other man. Mr. Gama is very tall. Very tall. So now we are describing Mr. Gama. He is very tall as compared to the other man. Dear learner, let's now move on to the next example. Here we have grandmother Khumalo. Grandmother Khumalo is wearing glasses, and then now I want us to describe grandmother Khumalo. So grandmother Khumalo is very dash. What can you say as we look at her picture? Dear learner, I hope we all are aware that gray hair is something that is normally found from old people. So if we look at the gray hair, and then the wrinkles, yeah, it's gray hair. Gray hair. And then here, there are wrinkles. You can even see the cheeks here. They show that there are some wrinkles. What can you say about grandmother Khumalo? Dear learner, grandmother Khumalo is very old, because we can see that he has the characteristics of old people, gray hair and some wrinkles. Let's move on, TLN, and look at the next example. That is a dog. I hope, TLN, that even at home where you stay, you do have some dogs, or else your neighbor do have some. So they are good pets at home. We like them. So if we look at this dog, there is something that you can say in relation to its body. TLN, what can you say about this dog? That is Themba's dog. Themba's dog is 2 dash. What can you put in the blank space? What can you put in the blank space? Let's look at its stomach. Let's look at its stomach. It looks like there are some marks of some ribs on its body, showing that the dog is too thin. Even if you look at its face, the eyes show that although there is some flesh, but it's not that much. So then that means Themba's dog is too thin. Is right, thin. Okay, that's thin. Thin. That is the spelling for thin. Let's move on, Elena, to the next example. Wow. We have this girl carrying a carrot. What can you say, Elena, about the two? Her carrot is very dash. What can you put in the blank space, Elena? So, Elena, if you can look at this carrot, this carrot is very big. This carrot is very big. Even if you look at this person carrying the carrot, it's like she is already tired, because this carrot is very big. Okay, now I write big, that is P-I-G. Elena, let's move on to our next example. That is this beautiful princess Zandile. So what can you say about Zandile's hair? Not the dress and the other things. What can you say about the hair? About this part, that is the hair. What can you say, Elena? So Zandile's hair, Elena, is very long. Remember, Elena, we are describing very long. That is L-O-L-O-N-G. Zandile's hair is very long. Now let's move on to the last example, whereby there is a bucket. There is a bucket. This one is a bucket. And inside here, there is water. Dylan, how can you describe the water and everything in this picture? So now we'll be describing this bucket. So Celia's bucket is what? Is too full. That is F-U-W-L. Is too full. How do we see that it's too full? You can see that water is spilling off from the bucket. We also have some water here. Those are spill offs. And then that means, the Elena, the bucket is too full. It can no longer accommodate any water anymore. Now there is no need for any additional water. So now let's move on, dear Elena, and look at the different types of adjectives. So we will start with the comparative type of adjective. That is a comparative adjective. What is a comparative adjective? Dear Elena, a comparative adjective is an adjective that is used when comparing differences between two things or two objects. So a comparative adjective is an adjective that is used when comparing differences between two things or objects. We normally use words like larger, smaller, faster, and higher whenever we deal with the comparative type of adjectives. So now let's use some comparative adjectives to fill in these blank spaces. So here with me in this picture I have this one, that is Ayanda, and then the next one is Linhle. I have Ayanda and Linhle. What can we say, dear Elena, about the two? I hope, dear Elena, you can see that Ayanda is taller than Linhle. Ayanda is taller than Linhle. So here I use adjective taller to compare the two. So I'm comparing the two in terms of their height. So this one is taller than the other. However, dear Elena, if I have to change it, I can say Linhle is shorter than Ayanda. Full stop. I can say Linhle is shorter than Ayanda. But for this example, I have to use taller because the first one is Ayanda. Let's now move on to the next example. I have these beautiful dogs. That is Rover. That is the first one is Rover and the second one is Princess. What can we say about the two? Let's say they are of the same age, because the body size doesn't mean that that particular dog is older than the other one. Then here you can't say this one is young because it's modern, this one is old because it's a little bit bigger than this one. So what can we say when comparing the two dogs? That is Rover and Princess. Dear Ellen, we can say Rover is smaller than Princess. Rover is smaller than Princess. So let's move on to the next one. I have these two people shaking hands. That is here. I have father, and the next one is grandfather. They say they don't have surnames. Let's compare the two. So my grandfather is dash than my father. So when comparing the two, I can look at their appearance. Here, grandfather has a beard, and this is associated with older people, and to make matters worse, it is white. So then that means a grandfather is older than my father. This one is older than my father. So I have compared the two. My grandfather is older than my father. So now let's move on and look at the snake. So the snake is longer than the worm. The snake, there is a snake. This one is the snake, and this one is the worm. Okay, so the snake is what? Let's compare. We have to look at this one and look at this one. So what can you say, Dylan? So the snake is longer than the worm. The snake is longer than the worm. So now, Elena, let's move on and look at the superlative adjectives. Let's move on to the superlative adjectives. So a superlative adjective is an adjective that is used to describe an object which is at the upper or lower limit of a quality. So they are mainly used when comparing more than two things. I hope, Elena, you still remember that comparative adjectives are mainly used to compare two things or objects. Now, superlative adjectives are used when comparing more than two things or two objects. In most cases, let's say here the first one is small, then the next one can be smaller, and then the last one can be the smallest. Dylan, let's now fill in these spaces with the correct superlative adjective. Correct superlative adjective. So we are comparing three things. I have this one, that is this pup, and then the second one and the third one. So here, the first one, that is this one, is said to be heavy. This one is heavy. Okay? If this one is heavy, that is this one, and then this one is heavier. If you look at the sizes of these things, you can see that now this one is becoming big, and then this one is what? This one will be the heaviest. So we can say a heavy pack of milli, that is number one. Then number two, that is this one, I can say is a heavier pack of milli. And then the last one is the heaviest pack of milli. Okay, dear Elena, can you move on and look at the next example? That is a bicycle. A bicycle is fast, while a car is faster than what? Than a bicycle. So what about an aeroplane? So dear Lena, an aeroplane is the fastest. An aeroplane is the fastest. So dear Lena, what did you notice about comparative adjectives? Comparative adjectives end with ER. For an example, I have here taller. Taller end with what? ER. So taller can be used as a comparative adjective. So now let's move on and look at this one, the superlative adjectives. So superlative adjectives end with EST. Superlative adjectives end with EST. For an example, we can have tallest as a superlative adjective. In summary, an adjective, dear Elena, is a word that describes a noun or a pronoun. Can describe a noun or a pronoun. And then a comparative adjective is a word that is used when comparing differences between two things or objects. And then the last one, that is the superlative adjectives. Superlative adjective is a word that is used to describe an object which is at the upper and lower limit of a quality. Dylan, let's fill in this space with the correct word. Here the first one here is bright. Here I have sweeter, and here I have biggest. Dylan, what can you put here? So here, bright, the next one will be brighter, and the last one will be brightest. Then here, number 2, in this blank space, it's sweet, then sweeter, and the last one is sweetest. Then the last one, dash, dash. Here, it can be big, and then the next one is bigger, and then we have biggest. Dear Elena, that marks the end of our today's lesson, and hope you were following the precautions which have to be taken whenever you are at home enjoying your lessons. Make sure that whenever you go to shops and other places where you will meet people, that you put on your mask and carry your sanitizer if you do have. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Dlamini. I'm hoping you're going to come again next time.
Yes, madam. Obviously, I'll come back. Thank you.
So grade 5s and 6s, do not go anywhere. Grab a snack, because I will be back with your mathematics teacher after this infomercial.
This week on Eswatini Lifestyle.
Gents, how are the vibes?
The vibes are right.
Yeah. Yeah, these guys can have fun anywhere. Trust me. Anywhere.
Ngiyathi ukuthi lithalenta eSwatini liyenyuka lilanga especially ku-comedy sector.
Wonke sonke lesikole nangithi ngifaka lona sikahle. Ugcina nje ngi. Sola sikaptini uyangiva ukuthi
Sinabo small, sinabo gogo, nabo silwane khiphani mamaske batonive emakhaya banive.
Angithi lo moya uyevakala abantu abami lokuthi awusheshuke eqembeni. Na uthi asithi ukuthi him.
Sayivele isukile masoti labahle.
Tune in to Eswatini TV this Friday at 6:30 p.m.
Buhle bethu imvelo yethu. Buhle bethu tindzawo tethu. Indalo yashada nemasiko kuhle kwethu. Kuvakasha kwethula umthwalo emahlombe ethu. Hloma ngwane vuka uvakashe indlela uyikhombe etindzaweni tethu. Temvelo nembukiso ungcebeleke uthathe netithombe. Lalela ke nangu sonkondlo waseSwatini akutekela ayibeka indzaba ayihlela kuhle kwelijaha lishela ngiyakutshela diningi tindzawo longativakashela hloma ngwane vuka uvakashe la phana lapha kuvakasha kuyayelapha enhlitiyo kanye nemicondvo kuyawuphumuda kugcinisa buhlobo nebungane losebundenga ndenga with a trip to Mantenga Falls or a sip among friends of Sibebe brew on Sibebe Mountain, or perhaps your cup of tea is backpacking and horse riding, sightseeing the seamless streams and springs that stream across the gorgeous valleys of the mountainous kingdoms of Eswatini. We have you covered. Hloma ngwane vuka uvakashe. Buhle bethu imvelo yethu. Buhle bethu ngabuthola nasebantwini bethu.
Welcome back, grade 5s and 6s. This is the third lesson for the day, and you are learning mathematics with teacher Mbuli. Yes, Mr. Mbuli. A very good afternoon, sir.
Afternoon.
How are you today?
Very fine.
Oh, okay. Even in this heat.
Yeah.
Okay, that's great. So today's topic is types of triangles.
Exactly.
What would you expect the grade 5s and 6s to have learned by the end of the lesson?
They must know the 4 basic types of triangles and their properties.
Okay, without wasting any time, please begin your lesson.
Thank you very much. Afternoon learner at home. As mentioned, I am Mr. Sibusiso Mbuli, teaching you grade 6 mathematics. And the topic is types of triangles, which is in our people's books, unit 2, lesson 9 to 12, and the pages, just pages 40 to 47. Then the biggest question that you can ask yourself, why are we teaching triangle or types of triangles? Types of triangles, in fact triangles are just an important part in geometry and also in construction, art and other disciplines. And also it is helpful to know the triangles and their properties. That is very, very important. And there are objectives that I'll just like us to achieve in this lesson. One is to identify and draw the 4 types of triangles. Number 2 is to state the properties of each of the 4 triangles. I hope, learner at home, you are following. Then there are important words which you must know as this lesson progresses. The first one is a right angle. Sometimes a right angle or a square corner. When we're talking about a square corner, we are talking about an angle that is exactly 90 degrees. Exactly 90 degrees. Then the second term is just an equilateral triangle. Equilateral triangle means having all the sides equal and also all the angles equal. Then the third one is isosceles triangle. This one is also a unique one. An isosceles triangle is a triangle whereby it have 2 sides equal and 2 angles equal. Make sure 2 sides equal, 2 angles must be equal. Isosceles triangle. Then the last one is just a unique one, a scalene. A scalene triangle is a triangle with all the sides. They are not equal. And all the angles, they are not equal. Sides, not equal. Angles, not equal. I hope you are following Lena at home. Then, what is a triangle? Maybe you can ask yourself, do I remember what a triangle is? Lena at home. Simple. A triangle is just a flat shape with 3 sides and 3 interior angles. 3 sides, 3 interior angles. That is a triangle. Then after that, we can identify. As we are looking, you can see which of these shapes is a triangle. There are shapes here. If you look at A, there is a shape there. It is a square. B, there is a shape. I said a triangle is a shape with 3 sides and 3 corners. Look at B. Exactly. Then look at C. C is not a triangle. Look at D and E. D and E are also triangles. Then F is not a triangle. Now, Lena at home, I hope we are clear about what a triangle is. Now, I want us to categorize or to classify these triangles according to their types. The first type that I want us to look at is a right-angled triangle. A right-angled triangle. When we're talking about a right-angled triangle, there are properties which are key or which are very, very important. The first one is that a right-angled triangle has 1 square corner, which means we're saying there's only one angle with exactly 90 degrees. And there is this one. It is impossible to have more than 1 square corner. I hope, Lena, at home, you are following. Look at this shape. Look at this one, just here in my hand. This one is a right-angled triangle. If you look at it very carefully, there is 1 square corner here. There is 1 square corner. 1 square corner. And it is impossible to have more than 1 square corners. This is a right-angled triangle. And usually at the corner there, you put a small square. This small square, it just tells you that this angle is exactly 90 degrees. Which means sometimes if the 90 degrees is not here, but you see this small corner here, it tells you that this is exactly 90 degrees. I hope, Lena, at home, you are following. Then now, how do we draw this? How do we draw a right-angled triangle? Then even here, listen very carefully and follow. The first step that you can do is to draw a line. Draw a line. A line, my line is AB, and my line is exactly 6 centimeters. Draw a line AB. I hope you can see this line. That's my line, AB. It's exactly 6 centimeters. That's the first step. Secondly, on A now, draw a square corner. You remember a square corner? An angle that is exactly 90 degrees. Draw a square corner. A square corner, then there will be a vertical line there. That vertical line, make it 4 centimeters. Make that vertical line 4 centimeters. That's so wonderful. Then after that, you can see there is a square corner. As you look here, this is a square corner. This is a square, but it's not yet a right-angled triangle. We must now join this from C down to B. Now this becomes a triangle because we are saying a triangle must have 3 sides and 3 corners or interior angles. Now everything is clear. Then even here you can look the complete right-angled triangle. You can see it. Everything is exactly. You can see the right-angled the right angle or the square corner. You can also notice that it is impossible to have more than 1 square corner. I hope you are listening or you are following Lena at home. Now, we have right angles here. We have right angles here. Which means it doesn't matter how your right angle can be placed. Sometimes it can be vertical. Sometimes it can be just horizontal up there. Sometimes it can be just down there. As long as there is a square corner, that shape is a right-angled triangle. There's one thing that I want us to note. From these triangles, there's a unique one. I hope you can see. There's a unique one. This one. Isosceles. Here I am saying sometimes right-angled triangle can be an isosceles. As long as there is a right-angled triangle, it can be called a right-angled triangle, and it can be also called an isosceles triangle, as reflected, as you can see. Now, let us jump to the second one. The second one is also a unique one. It's an isosceles triangle. We just mentioned just before. An isosceles triangle. An isosceles triangle is another one which is unique. There are properties there. The properties are very important. 1, 2 of the sides must be equal. 2 of the sides must be equal. In this case, this one and this one. They must be equal. And number 2, 2 of the angles must be exactly equal. In this case, is this one and this one. They must be equal. Then because of that, then this is classified under an isosceles triangle. Right here, I have an example of an isosceles triangle. This one. If you look at the sides, this side is exactly equals to this one. Then this angle is exactly equal to the angle on the other side. Then we can classify this triangle as an isosceles triangle. Now the bottom line is how to draw this. How can we draw a triangle like this one? Let us follow Lena at home. 1, you have to draw a line. Your line in this case, your line AP must be exactly 5 centimeters. We want to draw this. 5 centimeters. AP exactly 5 centimeters. That's the first step to draw when drawing this. Number 2, there are arcs which you must draw. Which means now you have to adjust your canvas. Open it. A canvas, it has the canvas tip and also the pencil tip. So you place the canvas tip on A. Place that canvas tip on A. Then you open your canvas 7 centimeters. 7 centimeters. Remember, the line AP 5 centimeters, but now you open 7 centimeters. You will then see you will see that curve up there. You will see that curve there. Then that curve tells you that our triangle must be around them. After that, you do the same even on B. You put your canvas tip, remember, don't disturb the opening of your canvas. Still 7 centimeters. Still 7 centimeters. You put it then on B, you draw the second arc. You draw the second arc. When you draw the second arc, the arcs will cross each other as reflected. The arcs will cross each other. Where they cross, place a point. Where they cross, place a point and name it C. Now, you can see now our isosceles triangle. 2 of the sides are equal. 2 of the angles are equal. That's so wonderful, Lena at home. I hope you are following. Now, there are other isosceles triangles, which means they can shape in different ways, but you stick to the properties. Even if it is slanting, look at the 2 sides which are equal and the 2 angles which are parallel. You just focus on that. Sometimes maybe it can, the sides, more especially maybe this, the sides can be shorter. But the fact that those two sides are equal, it is an isosceles triangle. I want you to note this one. This one is another one which is so unique. This one can be classified, maybe we are going to unfold it as we progress, but this is, all the sides are equal. But all the sides are equal, still it can be classified under isosceles triangle. Which means we are saying sometimes an equilateral, this is an equilateral triangle. An equilateral triangle can be an isosceles triangle. Why? Because of two of the sides are equal. Two of the angles are equal. Then it can be classified under isosceles triangle. Yet it is an equilateral triangle. I hope Lena at home you are following. Then now let us focus on it now. An equilateral triangle. How do we draw? How can we draw an equilateral triangle? What are the steps that we can follow? One, the first thing that you do is that, first of all, understand what an equilateral triangle is. All the sides must be equal. And all the angles must be equal. And in this case, Lena, listen very carefully. In this case, if all the angles are equal, which means each angle must be 60 degrees. Angle 1 60 degrees, the other one 60 degrees, the other one 60 degrees. You will remember, Lena, at home, the sum of the interior angles must be exactly 180 degrees. That must be in your mind. So I hope you are following this. Now let us draw it. You first draw a line, even in this case. But in our case now, draw your line to be exactly 8 centimeters. You use a ruler when drawing a line. You draw a line exactly 8 centimeters. Then after that, you take your compass. You take your compass. When you take your compass, you also open your compass exactly 8 centimeters. Like the first 8 centimeters. Then after that, put the compass tip on A. And then make an arc above line AB. You can see here, there is my arc. Make an arc above line AB. Then after that, you do the same even on the other side. You take your compass. You put your compass tip on B. Then draw another arc such that the arcs cross each other. Such that the arcs cross each other. Oh, that's wonderful. There is a new point now up there. That point is very, very important. Then after that point, you join. Join from A to C. Then also from C to B. Oh, that's wonderful. Now we have an equilateral triangle. An equilateral triangle. Remember, Lena, at home, I have an example here of an equilateral triangle. This one is an example of an equilateral triangle. If you can look at it very well, this angle is exactly equals to this one and also equals to this one. And even the interior angles, they are all equal. I want you to get this very clear. Equi means equal. Lateral means sides. Equilateral. Equisides. Equal sides. I hope you are getting that, Lena, at home. So make sure you are very, very sure about an equilateral triangle. As an equilateral triangle is formed. Then now, let us focus to the last one. This one is a unique one. It has its own properties. It has its own properties. And these properties are very, very important. One, all the sides are not equal. All the sides are not equal. And all the angles are not equal. Sides are not equal. Angles are not equal. Then we refer to this one as a scalene triangle. Then, how is a scalene triangle? I can have one example. This is an example of a scalene triangle. This is an example of a scalene triangle. This side is shorter. This one is a little bit longer. But this one is longer. Then we refer to this as a scalene. And even the angles, they are not equal. The angles are not equal. Then we refer to this as a scalene. Then now, I want us to draw a scalene. How do we draw a scalene? First thing that we do, we can open our canvas. It can be 8 centimeters. It can be 10 centimeters. Never mind. It can be 8 centimeters. It can be 10 centimeters. In my case, let's say the line is 10 centimeters. Then my line is 10 centimeters. After that, you open your canvas 8 centimeters. DE 10 centimeters. Then open your canvas 8 centimeters. After that, you place your canvas tip on D. You place your canvas tip on D and make an arc again. Make an arc. Make sure you make it longer. Make an arc. Then after that, you do the same even on the other side, which is E. You put your canvas tip on E. And in the second line, it must be 5 centimeters. It must be 5 centimeters. Then you put it on E and make an arc. Another arc there. The arcs will cross each other. Where these arcs cross each other, there is a point. That point is very, very important. You name that point F. That point is F. After that, join the points from D to F. First point, 8 centimeters. Then from F back to E, 5 centimeters. This is a triangle, but categorized under a scalene. We have this a triangle categorized under a scalene. It is very, very important to know this. It is very, very important to master all these types of triangles because they go a long way. As you learn, as you are going even to grade 7, you will come across them. Even in life, you come across triangles. Make sure you are able to identify the properties, to identify all the features of these triangles. Now, there are other scalene triangles that you can come across, as maybe you can see here. Remember, a scalene, the sides must be not equal. Angles, not equal. But look at this one. There are shapes which are unique, like this one. Like this one. It is classified under a scalene. Yet, if you can look at it very carefully, it is a right-angled triangle. Which means we can say right-angled triangle can be scalene triangle. Right-angled triangles can be scalene triangles. Even this one, far there, it's another one. Still, it is a right-angled triangle, but classified here under scalene, which means we are saying there are triangles which can be categorized in 2 classes, like this one, scalene, then a right-angled triangle. Now, as I conclude, learner at home, I want you to look very careful now. Reflect back from the first triangle I talked about. Now I want you to look at it very carefully. The first one is a right-angled triangle. We talked about a right-angled triangle. A right-angled triangle, I just like the properties. I like the properties. 1, it must have 1 square corner. 1 square corner. As long there is 1 square corner, that shape or that triangle is a right-angled triangle. And we also mentioned that it is impossible to have more than 1 square corners. You will never. Then the second one. The second one is an equilateral triangle. Remember, I said equal. Ngati lateral sides. Lateral sides. Sides. Equal sides. I hope that is very clear. Then an equilateral triangle. All the sides, I'm focusing on the properties. All the sides are equal. all the sides are equal. All the sides are equal. Then that is an equilateral triangle. And also all the angles, the three angles, they must be exactly equal. The three angles. Then this is referred to as an equilateral triangle. Then the third one is an isosceles triangle. Remember, Lena, at home, we said an isosceles triangle, it has two sides equal and two angles equal. In our case, this angle is these two sides are equal. They are equal, but but now they are shorter, so it doesn't matter. They can be longer, they can be shorter, as long as two of the sides are equal. It is an isosceles triangle. Then the last one is a scalene triangle. Is a scalene triangle, a unique one. All the sides are not equal, and all the angles are not equal. Is just a unique one, totally different from all the others. A scalene triangle. Lena at home, I hope you are still following. Now, you can do something at home. As you are watching, you are learning, you are browsing through your book, you are doing a lot, you listened. Okay, Lena at home. Now I want you to do me one thing. Draw the 4 different types of triangles. All of them. You draw one, you name it. You can even write the properties. I can be happy. You draw the second one, you write the properties. You also, you write the properties, you do everything there. Then the third one, even the fourth one, the same thing. All of them. Make sure you just draw the 4 of them, write their properties, and write even their names. Then now for more practice, because I know at home you need to work, you want more practice. Mathematics cannot be learned just by just reading. No, you have to do, you have to work, you have to do a lot of practice. So for more practice, you can go to your people's book or people's workbook, your book. Then open on pages 40 to 47. 40 to 47 in your book. Then in your workbook, it's just page 5 up to page 10. You work around there, you write your work, you do everything that you can to make this session prosperous, or to make this lesson a wonderful one. Make sure you do that. Lena at home, thank you very much. Thank you for your time. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. I, Sibusiso Mbuli, is saying goodbye.
Oh, thank you very much, sir, for today's lesson. It was very interesting and informative, and
yeah.
I'm sure that the learners at home enjoyed it.
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Form 1s, Form 2s, and Form 4s. Up next is Nogwazi Dlamini, who is going to be presenting to you the next subjects for the next classes. So do not go anywhere if you are in Form 1 or in Form 2, because Nogwazi will be back after this infomercial.
With the change in technology, out-of-home digital media is designed to grab the attention of people who are always on the go. You can now watch your favorite show, Usile Breakfast Show, and Themba at 7 on your favorite YouTube channel.
It's simple. You can stream these shows by following these quick, easy steps. Number 1, open YouTube. Number 2, search for Eswatini TV and click on Eswatini TV. Number 3, after you had entered on Eswatini TV, look for Themba or KPS. And while you're at it, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell button to get notifications of our video uploads and streams. And lastly, enjoy the stream. Stay home and watch Eswatini TV. Stay safe.
A very warm welcome back to Eswatini TV and to Home Study. My name is Nogwazi Dlamini, and a very good afternoon if you have just joined us. And right now we are doing science for the Form 2s with Nombumelelo Matebula, who is already with me in the studio. How are you doing this afternoon, Nombumelelo?
I'm good, Nogwazi, and how are you?
I'm good, thank you very much. Welcome back.
Yes.
Of course, welcome back. We've missed you, hey?
I'm back.
You are back, most definitely. So today in science, we're doing chemical reactions, right?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, what are you expecting your Form 2s actually to have learned by the end of the lesson?
They should be able to state that chemical reaction release or absorb energy. Describe exothermic and endothermic reactions with giving some suitable example, and also we are going to investigate the speed or the rate at which these reactions occur.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much for that, Nompumelelo Form 2s. We hope you are ready for your lesson. And of course, a reminder that we are live right now on YouTube and on Facebook. And if you have any questions, please feel free to use our WhatsApp number. You may please begin your lesson, Nompumelelo.
Thank you. The chemical reactions. I have a diagram where we are showing you some chemical reaction that happened at home, which is brewing of the traditional beer, which is showing some bubbles there, fermentation, because of a reaction that is going on. So this topic is very important because it is telling us that chemicals that we have at home can be reacted, and when they are reacted, then they are going to be created with relation to the energy. And this topic also will help us to be careful when we are using chemicals to avoid dangers, like using the products of petroleum, paraffin, petrol, and the like. And so from this topic, we are also going to help it understand that the rate of reaction is important in our daily lives and also industrially. So now let us look at the types of reactions. From your Form 1, you have studied 2 types of reactions, and these types of reactions, we say they are physical and chemical reactions or changes. And from physical reactions, we have seen that we usually get to mix some chemicals to form mixtures, like that of a mixture of salt and water. What comes out is a mixture called a solution. And then in chemical reactions, where we have 2 reactants or more, then the results will be a new substance will be formed. New substances are formed. Like in the example of us burning a piece of paper, the new substance that is formed is ash. So generally, reactions occur when 2 or more molecules, they interact, and these molecules then change. The bonds between the atoms of these molecules are broken, and as they break, they create a new type of molecule. So this then we say that will lead us to studying the properties of these chemical reactions. Remember, when you talk of chemical reaction, we are not specific whether it's physical or chemical reaction. Physical, or we are talking of just the physical reaction or physical change or chemical change. So we Now let us look at just one example that we have on this. Where we have this one example here. When you are talking of chemical reaction, the chemicals, they react to form a new substance or products. These products, they have different physical and chemical properties to those of the reactants. So we have reactants and products. Like the example of when we are burning a piece of paper. When you burn a piece of paper, what comes out is ash. How is ash? It is just powdery solid, and it is now different from being just a regularly shaped piece of paper. So from the reactions that we are talking about, we can classify them into two. The first one being the exothermic reaction. What do we mean by exothermic reaction? So exothermic reactions, they release energy to the surroundings, which means when they occur, energy will be released to the surroundings. And all exothermic reactions, they will release some energy, but in some, more rapid energy is released. Then this difference make us that understand that we can either use the exothermic reaction or it can be dangerous to us. So this difference makes some reaction useful, like that of burning a candle, and then that of respiration, which is happening in the body cells, both plants and animals. But some of these are more dangerous because they are explosive, for example. And these explosive reactions are extremely dangerous if and only if they do not take place under controlled circumstances. It means we must be very careful when we conduct this experiment. I will show you a small video where we'll be looking at the example of exothermic reaction, the burning of magnesium reborn. Shortly we will see that. So we use a paraffin lamp where we have added methylated spirits in this one, and we are cutting magnesium reborn and using the forceps like it is in the book. It is teacher demonstration because of the danger. You heat the you put it on the flame as you are heating. As we have said, there is heat and light energy, and this light is so extreme that it can destroy your eyesight. So what is then formed? A new substance, which is magnesium oxide, which is powdery. It's now a soft substance. So as we have said, we can explain this by stating what we're using and what happens. So the results from this burning of the magnesium are the magnesium burns and produce a bright light or flame that can destroy your eyes. So we are saying the energy has been sent to the surrounding, so it is an exothermic reaction. The light and heat, they are released to the surrounding during this reaction. And then the gray metal we started with is spent in oxygen to form a white powder magnesium oxide. That is a new substance which has now what? Different physical and chemical properties from those of the reborn when we cut this. And then the second one is the reaction of endothermic reaction. Now what is endothermic reaction? Endothermic reactions, they absorb heat from the surroundings, and when they do that, their surroundings will be cooled, so it's cooling the environment. Such examples include the melting of ice, where you have placed the ice, which is from the refrigerator. It will be cool surface, so it means you are cooling the environment. Like else, the evaporation of liquid water. Now it's a summer, there will be rain, and when the water escapes from the earth or the soil, it will be cooled. So it is taking away the heat with it to the heat is now removed from the ground. Another example of endothermic reaction is that of photosynthesis, and this one happens in green plants, and it is only in plant cells that the photosynthesis will occur. So we are going to investigate the endothermic again by looking at another video where we are showing how it happens when the cooling occurs, is when the reaction is going on. Let us watch the video. We have the apparatus. We will use as you have them here. The thermometer is taking the temperature of the water inside the test tube. One test tube is going to be used to show the difference in change of the temperature when there is mixing. So the other test tube is used as a control experiment. So we'll be comparing where there has been an action that is occurring. Now we are taking out a spatula full of ammonium chloride. We pour it on the test tube with water. You stir, and so what do we note is that there is a drop in the temperature as you stir using the thermometer. Please be careful, otherwise you should be using a stirring rod. So the marked temperature when we started is then seen to be dropping. As you can see, it's moving down, which means now the experiment shows that during the endothermic change or chemical reaction, there is going to be a drop in temperature. That means there will be a cooling. So the temperature has dropped, as I have said. The temperature has dropped. What does it tell us? It shows a cooling of the surroundings where there is the experiment or the reaction that is going on. So even if you touch it, this test tube, it will feel cold. Hence, we are showing that the temperature is reduced. As the reactions, okay, we expect that it occurs at a certain speed. So, speed of the reactions. So, chemical reactions can happen, we said, either quickly or slowly, such as for quickly explosions and slowly rusting. Obvious rusting, we normally do not see the effects with our naked eyes, but it is happening slowly. As you know, it may take days for a substance to rust. So the outcome of the reaction may not be what the situation requires. If it happens too slow or if it happens too quickly. Now we shall investigate what the rate of a chemical reaction depends on. What do we use? Same apparatus we used of the calcium. Now we're going to use calcium carbonate. We react it with hydrochloric acid in a conical flask. Then we have the delivery tube. So the reaction, when summarized, we know that there is an equation which is an acid, hydrochloric acid plus calcium carbonate. What is formed? A salt, calcium chloride water and carbon dioxide. So what we do is we fill up a measuring cylinder and invert it over the shelf and record the level of water in the cylinder at the beginning of the experiment. And we weigh 1 gram of calcium carbonate granule or chip and place them in the conical flask, and then add 50 cubic centimeter of dilute hydrochloric acid to this calcium. Then close the flask so the reactions begin. Then we are to collect the carbon dioxide over water. We are using the measuring cylinder instead of what we normally use, either the gas jar or our test tube, so that we know how much has been produced in 2 minutes. Then what do? We have to subtract this new reading of volume of what we have now in the measuring cylinder. It started at 60 centimeter cubic centimeter, then you subtract the 35 centimeter cubed. What you get is now the volume and divide by the time taken, 120 seconds. So when that happens, you now are calculating the volume per the time, which is at 2 minutes. So this is illustrated on our apparatus that we have used, what we use to collect the carbon dioxide. So when we have collected, then we are saying, what does it depend on? This chemical reaction rate, what does it depend on? The factors that affect the rate of reactions. There are several ways that we can speed up or slow down chemical reaction. 2 of the most important ones are the change in temperature of reaction and the change in the size of particles that we are using as reactants. So using the previous experiment, when we are collecting carbon dioxide, we can simply change either the temperature or change the size of particles. So we do the same reaction, but now we consider the time, the temperature of the acid. And then if you talk of the particles now, you can, instead of using those granules, you now grind them so that you make the pieces to be smaller pieces in this experiment. But all the other apparatus that we have used are the same. So like the measurement of 1 gram, before it was in granules, but this time is now powdery because we have grounded it. So again, you are using the same amount of hydrochloric acid. Then you are, after you have collected the gas, you calculate the rate in the same way as we did in the previous reaction, where you have simply subtracted what you are getting as the final volume from the initial volume. So you get the volume that is now seen. From what we have just done, we can see the effects, and as we talk of these effects, we therefore can conclude that when you are increasing the temperature of the hydrochloric acid, it means the temperature has an effect because it will increase the rate of the reaction. Cold acid will result in the decrease in the rate of reaction. So the speed is not the same if you are using cold acid. Again, decreasing the size of calcium carbonate particles, granules and crushed one. So when you are decreasing the size, it means you crush the calcium. It will break up these maple chips, and by so doing, increasing the reactions rate. So at home we can try this experiment by using either coarse and soft salt or any substances where we can dissolve in water. When you are using cold water, you can conclude that if I am adding sugar or the salt in water which is coarse, the reaction will be fast if it is hot, but when it is cold it will be slow. So dissolving coarse and soft salt both in cold and hot water are other examples we can do. This you can do yourself at home. So these effects, let me briefly explain them. Why is this happening? When reactants are heated, the reactants, when we heat them, what happens to the particles is that they gain more energy, which is that of kinetic, and they move more quickly. Therefore, they are more likely to collide and react with each other, the cause of the fast rate. And also, the collision will happen with greater energy, which help these reactants to combine and then react. So breaking the solid into smaller pieces, what does it do? It has this effect. It increases the reaction rate because it increases the total surface area of the solid. Hence, more reactants come into contact with and they react with each other. You are spreading this because of the size. When you explain this, this is shown in the diagram where we are crushing, and this now forms the different size which is now spreading apart. It's no more clustered in one area. It is spreading apart. Okay? For us, therefore, we have to look at some of the questions on what we have just learned. Question 1 says, give a definition and an example of an exothermic reaction and also an example of endothermic reaction. Example of each of these. And the second one says, classify the following given chemicals or reactions into exothermic and endothermic reaction. Which one is sending heat or energy to the surrounding and which one is cooling the environment or surrounding? So our answers to the question, what do we mean by an exothermic? An exothermic reaction, we said, is that reaction that which releases or send off heat to the surroundings, like the open flame of fire and also respiration. Endothermic reaction, the example there, we said it is the evaporation and melting, where the surface that the process occur in will be cooled. So the last question 2, and then the list we're classifying. Endothermic include cooking, baking, and melting. Exothermic, where the heat is sent to the environment. Here we are absorbing the heat so that they can occur. We have burning and rusting. Finally, we can conclude as to what we were looking at today. We have stated that chemical reaction release or absorb energy. And we have also described exothermic reactions as reactions that release energy and to the surrounding, obvious, and endothermic as reactions that absorb the energy. When we have given as above a suitable example. And then the last part, we investigated the rate at which actions will occur. which is they are affected by particle size and the temperature of reactants. We can conclude that if the particles of the reactants are smaller, the size or in their sizes, the reaction will be faster. And we also said if the temperature is high, then this will be a faster reaction. Thank you, dear learner at home. I hope you have enjoyed this lesson. Thank you, and let me take it back to Nogwazi.
Thank you very much, Nombumelelo, for your lesson, and we're hoping your students, your Form 2s specifically back home, yes, they enjoyed their lesson, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you so much. I hope so.
Yes, we do hope so. All right, Form 4s, get closer to your screens because up next is your mathematics lesson with Mem Seneme Twala. We'll be right back after this.
Thank you.
Hope, restoration. Amazing stories of real people like you who have triumphed over tragedy. Watch Turning Point International and be inspired to reach your turning point.
It really ministers to the soul of man, and as a pastor you benefit a lot because people learn and they learn how to cope with issues probably you don't even deal with in your sermons.
It's not reality TV, it's real life TV.
Why should we pay our TV license?
The content on our local television is actually more up to date. The industry is enhanced.
It is a criminal offense not to pay your TV license and attracts a fine of 500 emalangeni or 6 months imprisonment.
And the industry is definitely blooming, ladies and gentlemen. So that's what we have for you, but we'll be right back just after the break and we'll give you more of Miss V.
Pay my TV license. That's why I can enjoy the benefits of an enhanced industry and keep track with recent transformation.
Mommy, who paid for a TV license and what are they paying for?
The owners of TV set and a gadget with a tuner like DVD set have to pay.
Pay your TV license at NetBank with the details provided on screen. Or use your cell phone via the mobile money pay. You could also visit your nearest post office and pay there. Pay your TV license via Eswatini Mobile Imali. Any TV device retailer can purchase a license to trade. Pay your TV license and enhance the industry.
A very warm welcome back to our viewers and a very good afternoon if you have just joined us. This is Home Study on Eswatini TV on this very beautiful Friday afternoon. Right now we are doing Form 4 Mathematics with Miss Seneme Twala. My name is Nogwazi Dlamini. How are you doing this afternoon?
I'm doing very fine, Nogwazi. Thank you.
I'm doing well, thank you very much. So today we're simplifying algebraic fractions.
Yes.
What are you expecting your Form 4 learner at home to have learned by the end of the lesson?
By the end of the lesson today, I'm expecting my Form 4s to have learned how to simplify an algebraic fraction and also to solve an algebraic equation.
Okay.
Yes.
Is there anything specific they're going to that they're going to need for this lesson?
They just need a pen and an exercise book, and that's it for today.
Okay, thank you very much, Seneme. Form 4s, this is your mathematics lesson with Seneme Twala. You may please begin your lesson.
Thank you, Nogwazi. So, as we begin our lesson, we are going to recap on what we are supposed to know by today. By today, we assume that you are able to use a letter in a place of an unknown. You are able to collect like terms. You also able to remove brackets and also manipulate 4 basic operations on fractions. That is to add, subtract, multiply, and also divide. So some might be wondering, why do we necessarily need to know algebraic fractions? Algebra helps in critical thinking and also in problem solving. Also, algebra is used in businesses to project profits. That way they come up with formulas, say maybe P is equals to the cost of that item plus 30, which means that 30 is maybe the profit. So we use algebraic representation more often. And also fractions. It is important for everyone to know fractions because we use fractions in our daily lives. Suppose you are dividing pizza, you need the knowledge of fractions. And also when you are packing your lunch sandwich, you need to pack your sandwich maybe in triangles, squares, you might choose, but you need to know fractions so that you pack your lunch nicely. So today we are going to look briefly on how to simplify algebraic fractions. What is it to simplify algebraic fractions? What are the algebraic fractions? Algebraic fraction is a fraction. Remember, a fraction has a numerator and a denominator, but these ones are having an algebraic expressions. So I am having an example here, which is 2a over 3. Because we have 2a as our numerator and we have the a as a letter, it means we don't know the value of a. So 2a over 3 qualifies as an algebraic fraction. We have another example, t minus 1 over 5t. Again, that one we have t as an unknown, so it qualifies to be an algebraic fraction. And lastly, I have this one, which is 5 over 4x plus 3. Again, when looking at our denominator, we have 4x plus 3, which means it is an algebraic fraction. Okay, so now we are simplifying algebraic fractions. What is to simplify an algebraic fraction? It means that you are going to leave your final answer as a single fraction. So when we are adding or subtracting or multiplying or dividing fractions, we follow the same principles that we follow when we are manipulating numerical fractions. So looking at this example that I have here, I have 2 over 3a plus b over 3a. Looking at this example, the denominator is 3a and also here it's 3a, so it means the denominator is the same. If the denominator is the same, it means that we are going to just manipulate our numerators. So we have to say 2 plus b over 3a. We cannot go any step further now because our answer has no common factors in the numerator and also in the denominator. We might have a condition which might be whereby we have the fraction with different denominators. For example, I have 5 over m. 5 over m means that m is our denominator. 2 over 4m. 4m is our denominator. In this particular problem, we need to find an LCM. An LCM is a number that can be divisible by m and also be divisible by 4m. And we get our LCM to be 4m. Now that we have our LCM, what are we going to do? We are going to follow the same procedures that we follow when we are adding numerical fractions. So after you find your LCM, you write your LCM here. I have the 4 now. I am asking myself, how many times m go to 4m? it's 4 times. So I say 4 times the numerator of the first fraction, which is 5 in this case, plus how many times 4 goes to 4m? It goes only once, and then we multiply with the numerator, which is 2. And now I'm having 5 times 4 plus 1 times 2, which will simplify to 22, and then my fraction will be 22 over 4m. But I cannot leave my fraction like this, because 22 and 4m, there is a common factor. So I have to cancel out common factors. You might wonder what number divides 22 and also divides 4m, and that number is 2. So dividing by 2, both the numerator